All right, so today we're learning how to find the volume of a sphere. We've already found the volume of a cylinder, the volume of a cone, and now we're working with a sphere. So by this point, you already know how to set these problems up. You know that you just have to take your formula, use what you have, and substitute it in to find what you need. What can sometimes trip us up with these is just knowing how to simplify what you have in front of you. So you really just need to rely on like that prior knowledge of how do you simplify fractions? What can you what operations can you do to combine and simplify what you have in front of you? So let's take a look at this. We know we're asked to find the volume of a sphere, so we're going to write out what is the formula for a volume of a sphere. Volume equals 4/3 pi r cubed, which means raised to the third power. Now we need to look and see what's given to us. The only variables that we have are v and r. So we could only be given what the volume is, or we could be given what the radius is. So here, they give us this whole length, which is the diameter, and we know that if we want the radius, we just want from the center out. So we're going to take half of that. So we know that our radius is 8. We've defined it that way. So now we're going to go ahead, substitute that in. So volume, V, we don't know what it is, we'll leave it as a variable, is 4/3 times pi times our radius, which we just found the radius is 8, cubed. Okay, now, like I said, this is the point where all you're doing is simplifying. So you want to take a look at this and say, okay, what can you combine or simplify? What can you break down? Well, 8 cubed, I can figure out what that is, right? So I have V equals, leave everything else the same, 4/3 pi. And then don't forget, when you're going to enter this into your calculator, you want to use the caret button because you're not squaring it, you're cubing it. So if I have 8 cubed, I'm going to say 8 and then hit that caret button, which is directly across from the 7 if you're using, or a diagonal from the 7, if you have the same calculator as I do, to the third power, and then hit enter, and it tells you it's 512. Okay. From this point, you have to recognize that you're not done. You want to combine all of the constants that you can. They're asking us for an exact volume, so we know that we're going to leave it in terms of pi, but we have to somehow figure out how are we going to combine this 4/3 and this 512. Each of these terms, because they're written right next to each other, anytime you have them written right next to each other in math class, that implies they're being multiplied together. So you could do this on your calculator and just say, okay, 512 times 4/3. So you can say times, and then make sure you use your parentheses, 4, and you hit the ABC button, 3, close your parentheses and hit enter. And that'll spit it out to you as an improper fraction, which this is still correct. 682 and 2/3 pi would be your answer. So you would have V equals 682 and 2/3 pi. That is absolutely a correct answer, but most likely the platforms that we're using are not going to accept it in this form. They're going to want it as an improper fraction. So you could either, if you know how to get that back into an improper fraction, go ahead and do it that way. Or if you remember, this 512, like it's always over a 1, you could just know, okay, so you have 4 times 512. 4 times 512 is going to give you 2,048 pi over 3. So either way, if you simplify it this way by just saying, okay, 4 times 512, or if you go ahead and fix this and just turn it into an improper fraction any other way that you know how, your final answer in that form is 2,048 pi divided by 3. All right, and that is your final answer.